couldn't call nobody else to do it. We had to get it fixed. Take care of ourselves. But it was cool. I patched the ceiling myself and everything. So.
Yes. Those are things that we look back on that we'll be able to laugh at, that we're able to laugh at now. We went through home for the person who was our lender, guided us through this, step by step. He told us, what is it that you're looking for? I said, we need down payment assistance. And he said, well, you need to call all these banks. And so we already banked with Huntington. That was not to, because the person who was our lender worked with us so well. She was the one who told us about the down payment assistance program. It took us a lot of years to learn and get here, but it's worth it. It's worth the time. It's worth the effort.
The world is out there. It's crazy. It has ups and downs. So like that. Home is a place that will come back to.
I feel like this is our forever place. Anything good or bad that might happen, it's always going to be a memory. Remember that one bad thing happened? Oh, ha, 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 ha. We got past it in our happy place.
Okay, so that was one of our home buyers that's used our home buyer programs and down payment assistance that I'm going to tell you about. So 3 important items to know about OHFA, the Ohio Housing Finance Agency. Our homeownership programs can be used anywhere in the state of Ohio, and not all lenders and banks and mortgage companies are OHFA participating lenders. So our full list of participating lenders can be found on our website, myohiohome.org. Again, that's myohiohome.org. And we do have participating lenders here at the vendor table. So make sure you go out and visit one of those participating lenders. So what's the basic process to start the home buyer process to see if you qualify for our mortgage loan? So step 1 is the home buyer is going to contact an OHFA approved mortgage lender for an eligibility review. Step 2, if you qualify, you're going to choose a loan program that best fits your needs. And then step 3, you're going to go through the normal home buying process with a real estate agent. There's nothing majorly different with an OHFA loan than any other type of loan. You just do a 1-hour home buyer education course, and you actually do that after you go into contract. So after you found that house, you submitted an offer, the seller has accepted that offer, that's when you would actually do the home buyer education. But again, you don't have to do that until after you've gone into contract on a house. We participate in all the major loan types, so conventional, FHA, VA, and USDA loans. And the minimum down payment requirement for conventional loans is 3% of the purchase price. For FHA, it is 3.5%. And then VA and USDA loans, so VA are veterans loans, and then USDA is the United States Department of Agriculture. Those are zero down loans. And so if you qualified for one of those, you actually could use a down payment assistance to cover all of your closing costs on those zero down loans. So keep that in mind. Even if you qualify for a zero down loan, maybe you don't need the down payment assistance to cover the down payment. You can actually use the down payment assistance to cover your closing costs. So who qualifies as a first-time home buyer? You have to meet one of these 3 criteria to be considered a first-time home buyer. So one is someone who's not had ownership interest in a primary residence in the last 3 years. You don't truly have to be a first-time home buyer. You just cannot have owned a primary residence in the last 3 years. 2, anyone buying in a target area. So target area is an economically distressed area. And on the next slide, I'll kind of show you what it looks like on our website if you wanted to search that. But if you're buying in an economically distressed area, you do not have to be a first-time home buyer. And then 3rd, if you're an honorably discharged veteran, we got any veterans in the room? Just by a show of hands, any veterans? Okay, so I see a few. If you're an honorably discharged veteran, you can still use our programs even if you're not a first-time home buyer. So if you wanted to look at a house, maybe you're looking at a house, you're interested in taking a look at it, you're wondering if it's located in a target area or not. We do have that map on our website, and you can go ahead, and this is what it looks like here. So if you go to our website, again, myohiohome.org, you can actually type in a specific property address. It'll let you know if that house is located in the target area, or you can zoom in and out on the map, and it'll let you see all the target areas within the state of Ohio. Now, in terms of income limits, You do have to be under our income limits, and here they are listed up on the screen. So if you're purchasing a house in a non-target area, so it is not economically distressed, for a 1 to 2 person family, you can't make more than $99,400. For a 3 or more person family, it's $114,310. So again, those are our maximum income limits, meaning you can't make more than that. Now, if you are buying in a target area, then you can actually go up to our higher income limit. So for a 1 to 2 person family, it's $119,280, and then for a 3 or more person family, $139,160. And if you're looking at that, maybe you as a family make more than what's shown on our screen here. Something important to note is that we only count bar income, not household income. What that means is you go in to qualify for the loan, and let's say you're married, you as a couple make too much money to qualify for our homebuyer programs and down payment assistance. But you qualify for the loan based on one of the spouse's income, so only one. You can actually exclude that other spouse from the income calculation, not be over our income limits, and qualify for our down payment assistance and our homebuyer programs I'm going to talk about here in just a moment. So again, these are our maximum income limits. You have to be underneath these to qualify as a first-time homebuyer. Credit score. So the minimum credit score is 650 for FHA loans, and then conventional USDA VA is 640. Again, FHA 650, conventional USDA VA 640. And at the very end, I'll have some information up there too. Maybe you're looking at that and you're thinking, oh, I don't think my credit score is that high, or maybe I'm close, but I need to get over that 640 or 650. I'll give you some information on how you can do that to get on the path and improve your credit score to get approved for a mortgage. This is our most popular program. Approximately 85 to 90% of our home buyers use the OHFA down payment assistance. And the OHFA down payment assistance can be used towards the down payment, closing costs, and any other prepaid expenses incurred prior to closing. If you use our down payment assistance, your interest rate will be slightly higher than our standard mortgage interest rates, and you cannot sell the house for the first 7 years. Otherwise, you have to pay back the entire down payment assistance. After 7 years, you can do whatever you want with the property. But again, between year 1 and year 7, you cannot sell the property. Otherwise, you have to pay back that down payment assistance to our agency. You can refinance through OHFA's refinance program, so maybe interest rates go down in the future. You could use our refinance program to get that lower interest rate. So let's take a look at how much down payment assistance you could get. If you're doing a conventional loan, you can get 3% of the purchase price towards the down payment and closing costs. And then if you're doing a government loan, which is FHA, VA, and USDA loans, then you can get 3.5% towards your down payment and closing costs. And just a reminder on those VA and USDA loans, which are zero down loans. So if you're a veteran and you qualify for that VA loan, that's a zero down loan. You can actually use that 3.5% to go towards your closing costs. So that would significantly reduce the amount of funds that you would need to get into a house. So let's say somebody was purchasing a $200,000 house and they're doing a conventional loan. So again, a conventional loan, the minimum down payment requirement is 3% of the purchase price. So in this example, they're getting $6,000 towards your down payment and closing costs. So the approximate out-of-pocket funds would be somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000 out of your pocket to get into a house. Now, this could be a little bit more, it could be a little bit less. What we always recommend is that you talk with your mortgage lender that you're working with and get that detailed printout of what your closing costs are going to be. And then you can work with your real estate agent to figure out, okay, how much money am I going to need? Am I able to negotiate this with the seller when you're going through the home buying process? That's something that you could ask your real estate agent about, is trying to ask the seller for seller paid closing costs to help reduce the amount of money that you need out of pocket to get into a house. But again, this is on a $200,000 purchase, conventional loan, and the approximate out-of-pocket funds somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000. Now, this is a powerful illustration showing the relationship between home ownership and wealth and gaining equity in your home. So this data is based on the Columbus region, which is where our office is located. And if somebody had purchased a house a 2020 for $200,000. The median price appreciation of that house between 2020 and 2025 was approximately 43%. That means that house at the end of 2025 was now worth approximately $286,000. So a gain of $86,000 in equity and a gain of long-term wealth. So think about this. A house is a long-term asset. You're building long-term equity, long-term wealth by owning that home. So a pretty stark picture here showing the importance of home ownership and building long-term wealth for your family. All right, do we have any heroes in here? Let's take a look at those occupations up there. So veterans, active duty military, members of the reserve components, police officers, firefighters, volunteer firefighters, EMTs and paramedics. This includes doctors, nurses, and underneath that nurse umbrella, we have RNs, LPNs, and STNAs, and then pre-K through 12 teachers, administrators, and counselors. This is called the Ohio Heroes Program, or the Ohio Heroes Loan. And homebuyers get a slightly lower interest rate than our standard mortgage interest rate. So this is our best interest rate that we offer. And I'll give you an example here. So this is just from a couple of weeks ago. Our interest rates change every day. So you can go on our website and take a look at what the rates are today, but this is just from a couple of weeks ago. Our Heroes rate on a government loan, so FHA, VA, and USDA, a couple weeks ago was 5.625%. Now, if you go and check what rates are at different mortgage lenders, you'll see that most of those rates are somewhere between 6.5%. So this is a pretty outstanding rate at 5.625. But again, this is just from a couple weeks ago. Go on our website, you can see what today's rates are. And then for a conventional loan, the rate was 5.875% just a few weeks ago. So again, this is our best interest rate that we offer. And maybe you're thinking, okay, I have my own down payment funds saved up. Maybe you don't need our down payment assistance. You can actually still use the Heroes loan by itself just to get that slightly lower interest rate. So keep that in mind. If you work in these one of these occupations listed up here again, you can get that slightly lower interest rate. You don't have to use our down payment assistance. You can just use this loan to get that slightly lower rate.
I'm Erin. I live in Akron. I've been here for almost 2 years now with my boyfriend Logan and our 8 animals.
Then we're streaming live to Facebook and
/teacher
YouTube pages.
Is what I was when I purchased this home. And we're just kind of Zillow window shopping, and then saw this one, so we had to jump on it. There's space. It's an acre in the city of Akron, which is kind of unheard of. But at the same time, it's like a small, accommodating home. We didn't want anything big. It's just the two of us, and the fact that some of it was wooded. We love nature. We love using the trail system here in Akron. To find an acre in the city was perfect for us. Our neighbor actually grew up in this house and moved next door, so she's been able to tell us about like the history of the property when she's growing up. Like they planted apple trees, pear trees back there. She's really great, so she checks on us, we check on her. It's pretty awesome to have the towpath trail right in my backyard, so I can go for a walk out in the woods, or I can go for a bike ride into downtown Akron, or up into the national park. It's 15 minutes away. That's pretty cool. We're very into sustainability, so we didn't want to completely buy all this new stuff with gardening and growing different flowers and the chickens, and the fact that it's local to where I grew up with friends and family, with its proximity to both downtown and the national park. I think it's pretty unique. I don't think we would be able to find that elsewhere. I found out about the OHFA program through my amazing realtor and broker who thought I would be a good candidate for the program because I was a science teacher. I used the Heroes program, which allowed me to get a 30-year conventional loan at a really low rate, and it provided down payment assistance. So we were able to do some minor updates to the bathroom, kitchen. DIY was pretty good. And we started a garden and a fence. even like having a permanent address to put down for everything in your life is really nice, just to be able to establish this is your home, getting to know your community and your neighbors. I participated in the OHFA homebuyer education program, which was really helpful to be able to learn different tips, both during the purchasing process as well as after you own a home. It made it super easy. Having that information available to me, especially from an organization that wasn't out there to try to sell you something, you know, so it's just really nice to have that all around assistance.
Okay, do we have any recent college graduates in here? Just by a show of hands, any recent college graduates? Okay, if you've graduated college within the last 18 months with an associate's, bachelor's, master's, or doctorate degree, you can use what's called our grants for grads down payment assistance. And as long as the buyer stays within Ohio for the first 5 years, even if you sell or refinance the home, you do not have to pay back that down payment assistance grant. So I'll say it again, for those that have graduated college for the last 18 months, and as long as you stay within Ohio for the first 5 years, you do not have to pay back the grants or grads down payment assistance. And again, this is the same amount of assistance that's offered similar to our regular down payment assistance program. So if somebody was doing a conventional loan, they would get 3% towards the down payment and closing costs. And then if somebody was doing a government loan, FHA, VA, and USDA, they would get 3.5% towards their down payment and closing costs. All right, one of our final programs here is the first-time buyer mortgage tax credit. The intent of this tax credit is to help first-time home buyers put more of their own money back in their pocket and pay less federal income taxes. It's up to a $2,000 per year tax credit when using an OHFA loan. Now, this is really important. You might want to write this down. You have to request a tax credit when you're going through the mortgage loan process. If somebody already closed on a house and did not request this through one of OHFA's approved lenders, unfortunately, you cannot get this mortgage tax credit. You had to apply for it when going through the mortgage loan process. So again, make sure you request that from your mortgage lender. Again, it has to be an OHFA approved mortgage lender, and do that when you're going through the mortgage loan pre-approval process. So let's say somebody made $60,000 in income, and they owe about $3,000 in federal income taxes, but they're getting a $2,000 mortgage tax credit. So $3,000 minus that $2,000 credit, that means they only owe $1,000 now in federal income taxes instead of a $3,000. And if a home buyer claimed this credit for the first 10 years on a mortgage, and the reason why I put 10 years here is that's the average time that a home buyer stays in their house before selling and moving on to the next property. In this example, if they stayed 10 years, that would be over $20,000 in federal income taxes that could be saved by getting this first-time buyer mortgage tax credit. Go ahead. Yep. And I'll give you a QR code just here in a second, and I'll give you a copy of everything that I'm covering. All right, our final program. Maybe you're listening to all these programs and you're thinking, John, I'm not a first-time home buyer. We do have programs for those that are not first-time home buyers. So this is called Next Home. With Next Home, a home buyer can get our down payment assistance. Most of the eligibility requirements are the same as our first-time home buyer program. They're just not first-time home buyers. So let's take a look at what are the basic steps to purchasing a home. So step one, you're going to go on our website or talk with one of the lenders here in the lobby that are an OHFA approved lender. But if you go to our website, myohiohome.org, click on Getting Started and click on Find a Lender, you'll see we have a list of over 150 mortgage lenders that participate in our programs anywhere in the state of Ohio. Step two, you're going to obtain that pre-approval letter. So once you're pre-approved for a mortgage, they're going to let you know how much you can afford. You're going to take that pre-approval letter to your real estate agent. The real estate agent can explain the entire home buying process to you in great detail. They're going to help show you houses, find those houses, negotiate the contracts, all that stuff. They're going to guide you through every single step of the home buying process. Now, maybe you're watching and you're thinking, my credit's not where it needs to be. I need to get it right to to get to a point where I can actually get approved for a mortgage, we always recommend that you contact a HUD-approved counseling agency, and that's hud.gov. I'll list it up here, and they can give you tips on how to improve your credit. And I believe we do have some counseling agencies here in the lobby today. So maybe your credit's not where it needs to be. Stop by one of those counseling agencies and talk with them, and they can give you some information to get you on the right path. All right, if you want a copy of today's presentation, let me go ahead real quick and then I'll come back to that other one. So here's a copy of everything that you just saw on all the slides. So go ahead, take your phone out, you can take a picture of that QR code and it'll bring up all the slides that you just saw. So I'll give you a couple seconds to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to go back and I'll give you the QR code that will take you directly to our website, which is myohiohome.org. And then I think we're going to do a Q&A. If we have an extra mic, and then we can run the mic up and down for any questions that we might have. All right, and then let me go back one here. This is directly to our website. So this has all the information on all of our homebuyer programs, down payment assistance, finding a mortgage lender,
I have no
and just
idea.
some basic
I think he has.
FAQs or frequently asked questions on starting the home buying process. All right, if we could, we have an extra handheld mic and we could run some questions?
Thank you, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? All right. Hold on, I'm coming to you, I'm coming. I can't move that fast.
Question, so if you're on a fixed income, can you still be a home buyer?
Potentially, yes, as long as you have the income to qualify for the mortgage, regardless of the type of income, as long as it's in a standard type of income, they'll review it. If it's, like for example, monthly income that you get on a consistent basis, then typically they would count that. So,
Yeah. All right. Oh, we have a question. Okay, I'm glad you're in the right area.
I'd like to ask, you tell us to scan this with our phone.
yes.
I just watched a video on YouTube and it talks about how scammers are able to get inside of these QR scans. Once you scan it with your phone, and they can take your, just like they see with the text or email. So is there any other way that we can get into your website without this QR scan?
Yep, it's listed right, we go back right there. If you just if you want to write it down or save it in your phone, you can just myohiohome.org, and then we have the flyers listed out there on the table right behind you in the lobby. We have one sheet that go over all of our programs.
All right. Any other questions?
Now, one in the middle, you can shout out, roll out, I'll try to hear you.
My question is, if you consolidate old loans so you can lower your payments and interest on all that, can you still get into the first-time buyers program?
So your question was if you consolidated other loans to try to qualify for mortgage, potentially, you're really just gonna have to meet with the mortgage lender, check your credit score, and see if you qualify or not, or if they're gonna tell you, hey, you gotta pay out some of these debts before you might qualify for a mortgage.
And I actually have a question for you. Are some of these benefits stackable? So say you're a graduate and you qualify for the Heroes program, and then you qualify for, the graduates program. Can you use both, or is it usually either or?
Some of them are either or. So for example, it's either the down payment assistance or it's the grant to grant. You can't combine both those together, but you can do, for example, the Heroes loan, which is that lower interest rate with our down payment assistance. So you can stack that. And on our website, we actually have a chart of all the different ways that you can stack these programs together.
Oh, great. All right, very good.
So my question is, if you receive one of these home assistance programs, do you have to live in the home yourself?
Yes, you do have to live in the property. This is for owner-occupied residents.
All right, I'm coming to the other aisle. Yeah, did I see some hands over here? All right. Here we go. How you doing, sir? Hold on.
Excuse me, I was hearing on the news that now is not a real good time to be jumping in on due to the war in Iran. And they saying right now, according to Jill Sessions on CBS News, they're saying that really ain't a good time to be jumping into this.
So I was just, his question was in regards to being able, is it a good time to buy or not a good time to buy? I always say it's a good time to buy if you want to be in a house and you want to be there long term. It's always a good time to buy, build that long-term equity in a house.
I can definitely tell you that when I bought my house, it didn't seem like a good time. I didn't seem like I was prepared, any of that. But I've been in my home for 25 years and I'm so glad that I did it. I got my kids in their homes. They didn't have ideal jobs, any of that. But it definitely has been a godsend. Yes, ma'am.
So, as far as being a first-time home buyer and not having any interest in any primary home or whatever have you for like the last 3 years, I think you said, does that include inherited property too? I inherited a home.
If you inherited a home, did you live in the property?
Yeah, I still live there.
Then that most likely would count as ownership interest. To not make it first time.
All right. I'm making my way. I see you over here, Ohio State.
Yeah, I was wondering, if you go through all these programs and you qualify and you get in, but after about a year or two, you start making more income, better income, would that deem you in this program, or you could just keep going?
So there's no so you qualify, your income goes up, you're saying.
Right.
So there's something called recapture tax. We've only had a handful of people ever had to pay it, but our agency, if somebody ever had to pay it, would reimburse them if they had to pay that in that circumstance, what you're saying. But again, we've only seen it like a handful of times where somebody actually had to pay that.
All right, dear.
I was like wondering about like you said about the HUD, I know it's probably a question for them about like fixing your credit and whatnot, but so say that you come with like 50%, would you, like even if you have bad credit, like do you have programs for that as well? Like say I'm trying to buy a home in like 2-3 months.
When you said come with 50%, you're saying 50% down payment or?
50% of the home price.
Okay, so regardless, you would still have to meet our credit scores no matter what you qualify for our home buyer loans. So if you wanted to use down payment assistance in addition to whatever you had, saved up, you would still have to meet our minimum credit scores.
Okay.
You got another question over here?
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I wanted to know if this would apply if you want to rent to own your home.
Potentially, in terms of that, it would just be, you just have to qualify for the mortgage. So whatever house you're looking to buy, you just have to qualify for the mortgage through one of our OHFA approved lenders. Now, we don't have anything specific where we work with landlords on a rent-to-own basis or anything like that. It just, you have to meet the qualifications for our mortgage to purchase the house.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Anybody else?
I was gonna ask, can you explain the difference between conventional and FHA and who qualifies, I guess, for the different loans?
Sure. So the conventional, the requirements to qualify for the conventional loan are a little bit higher. And so it's typically, you'll go through the review process. If you don't qualify for conventional, then sometimes they'll put you into an FHA loan. So the qualifications for FHA are a little bit more lenient. And so maybe if somebody has a lower credit score, you might be able to qualify FHA, and then maybe you wouldn't qualify conventional. So.
Yeah, hi, my name is Marlon, and I wanted to, first of all, say to you guys for coming today. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Entire staff and everyone that's here today. Coming, and Kenya Brown. I got 3 questions here.
Okay.
Let's see. I wanted to find out when you retire, just retire. Okay.
Okay.
And also, first time buyer with the credit score is like 5, I know she said about 650, 540 in that direction. And being a first time buyer at the age of 7.
So whether you're retired or not, doesn't matter. If you're a first-time home buyer, you're a first-time home buyer, you can still use our programs. But again, you do have to meet, I think you mentioned the credit score, you do have to meet that either 650 for FHA credit score or 640 for conventional USD and VA. But age doesn't matter, whether you're retired, doesn't matter, you just have to meet those eligibility guidelines.
I have a question about income. All of the loans have requirements of income, so how long do you have to be on the job, or how much proof of income do you have to provide?
So it's going to be a little bit different for every mortgage lender. So usually they're going to be looking for at least 3 to 6 months of work history, but that could be different. For example, let's say somebody gets a teaching job and they have a newly signed teaching contract. They're starting as a teacher in August. They might be able to get approved for that, even though they haven't actually worked at that new job yet, because they have that signed teaching contract, they might be qualified for that mortgage. So I would just say ask the lender, because everybody's going to be a little bit different in terms of what they're looking for, in terms of how much pay history you have to show to qualify for the mortgage.
And one more thing, if you recently filed bankruptcy or are going through it and it's completed, how many years after? So like it's been like 4 years for me, would that affect me?
Potentially. So typically with FHA, it's a little bit more lenient. Don't quote me on this, but with FHA, it's 2 years after a bankruptcy discharge is when you can try to apply again for a mortgage.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hello.
Oh, sorry.
Hi. I want to know, if you're buying from a person that owns their home, right, and they want to sell your house,
Okay.
what do you need as far as qualifying so that you can purchase that?
So you're still using a mortgage, correct? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Okay, so you still have to go to the mortgage lender to get pre-approved for that mortgage, and then you're gonna have to either work up a real estate agent or real estate attorney or something like that to draw up the documents to purchase that home. Potentially, I mean, if it's easier, yeah, I mean, if you're not buying a house that you already know somebody, you're gonna have to go look for houses all throughout the city or whatever, but yeah, you could use our programs doing that. It's just you would have to have somebody help you with the paperwork.
We have another question over here.
I wanted to ask a few questions about the second mortgages.
Okay.
I wanted to know what is a second mortgage, and I also wanted to know why do people consider getting second mortgages on their property, and I also want to know what does the equity on the property.
Say that last part again.
Does it go to that second mortgage is the equity on the property?
Okay, so if you're getting a second mortgage on the property, it could be a couple different things. So, for example, when we use our down payment assistance, that's a 0% second mortgage, meaning there's no monthly payment on it. It's a 0% second mortgage during that 7-year period. Once the 7-year period is done, then our second mortgage falls off the property and goes away. Now, if you're referring to a second mortgage where somebody goes to a bank and they take out money, a lot of times people take out second mortgages to pay for a home repair or put an addition on their home or pay for somebody's kid's college or something like that. So that's when people would typically do it. So
This is what I'm talking about, and how does it affect the property? This is what I was speaking about. How does it affect the property when people take the second mortgages out?
how does it affect it? Well, there's another debt on the property. So if they go to sell that home that's gonna be less money that they get back when they, when they sell the house that they currently live in. Go ahead.
I'm curious, what is the lowest percentage rate that you can get on a 30-year fixed mortgage?
The lowest percentage interest rate?
Yes.
There's no set interest rate. It just depends on credit score, it depends on what program, like if you're using our programs, it depends on which program you're using, it affects the interest rate. So there's different factors, so I can't give a set interest rate.
Okay, someone says that he changed, the amount of years. So can you help me understand that? 50-year mortgage, is that real or?
You can get a 50-year mortgage, but my only buyer beware would be is that you're paying a lot more in interest over the life of that loan if you're doing a 50-year as opposed to a 30-year mortgage.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I got a question. This about, if a person that was on that job for over 10 years and they had a little fallout in the middle, and then you get back to working again, how would that work?
So the lender's just gonna look at your work history, they're gonna make sure that you have enough months of work history leading up to when you apply for the mortgage. So they'll be looking at that. Yep. And then I think we got one more, and then I think, I'll be out at the booth too if you have any other questions, and how we doing on time for the next speaker. I can answer a couple more questions, and I think we'll head over to the next present. Go ahead, if you want to shout it out.
I have a question about your housing program. It's a federally funded program, correct?
Yeah, so
is this a temporary thing, or how long does it last?
So we're not federally funded in the sense that we receive funds from the federal government like that. We use, basically think of it as we use tax tools, IRS tax tools to help fund our mortgage loans. But we don't receive direct funding like you're thinking in terms of how we do those. So we're not affected by any funding right now with the federal government or anything.
I guess I questioned that wrong. I'm more curious about how long does the program last? So say I am saving right now. I want to go do this in 3 years. Am I still able to come back to this, or?
Yeah, so our programs are continually funded, meaning we don't run out of down payment funds, and our agency's been in existence since 1983. So,
okay, cool.
Yep.
So the last question over here.
So as far as, say if you have a late payment on like your credit score or your credit history, and you have decent credit as far as buying a home, but you just have like a late payment or like consecutive late payments previously, may say something happened or whatever. But with that being on your credit history, is that going to affect trying to buy a home even if you do qualify as far as like having the right credit score?
Not necessarily. I mean, if you meet the minimum credit standards now when you apply for that mortgage, you're looking at that in terms of the credit score is looking at your overall credit profile. So it's going to take all those things into account. So as long as you meet the minimum standards when they run your credit report, and then your income and debt to income ratios, making sure you can afford the mortgage, then you potentially qualify for the mortgage.
Okay, so waiting for like a year isn't my standard.
It might not be. I would just meet with the mortgage lender and get pre-approved and see what they say. And if they say, hey, you have to wait a certain period, or hey, we need to get this debt paid off before we can approve you, then you at least know where you stand and can work towards getting approved for a mortgage.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. I'll be out at the booth if you have any other questions. Appreciate it. And good job.
Thank you so much, John Dewey, and I just want to remind you that we will be giving the first gift card, the $500 gift card. We will be giving that away after the next panel, and you do have to be here in order to win the prize, all right? And we're doing it right now? Oh, okay. I guess we're doing it right now. Try to see who get this money. So this is for the $500 gift card, which I'm sure everybody could use an extra $500. All right, Marguerite Pennington?
No shit.
I know that's right, girl. Come on, Marguerite. You don't even have to come all the way down, we just go meet you up there at the top. And, Marguerite, you taking me to lunch? All right, love. And we're gonna give away a washer and dryer as well, but I just wanna let you guys know, this is an intimidating process. Sometimes buying a home, it can seem intimidating, but don't talk yourself out of the process before you even find your own solutions. Because even with all the questions that you have right now, you know, one thing might not line up for you, but something else might. And these professionals are here, they know the business, they know all of the things that are available that you might not be able to find or have a harder time finding on your own. So don't talk yourself out of the process. Make sure you get with all these wonderful professionals that can help you get into your next home. Now we have a panel, and I love these ladies because they have a wealth of information as well. The Cleveland Realtors NID panel with Miss Amber Lewis, Deborah Bonner, Laisha Bailey, and Lydia Pope. Y'all don't want to take notes on this because they got that good info for you. How you doing?
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I know it is a long day, but you are here. We're going to try this again. Good morning. Good morning. Give yourself a round of applause because you can be anywhere. So you're here with us. You're still in the room. You're still rocking with us. I'm going to check in. We have a good panel for you today. I am Amber Lewis, and I am your moderator today for our conversation on how to, number one, know who the realtors are. We're going to talk to you a little bit about that. Number two, how do you actually purchase a home? What are the steps to get you ready? And then number three, let's talk about all things credit. Because I know we had some questions for OHFA a little bit before, but we want to make sure that you are home buyer ready. So who am I? I am the third vice president of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. For those that do not know that we exist, we are here live in real form. We were created to ensure that there is democracy in housing. So who has heard of the realtors? Realtors. And realtors?
Yeah.
Realtors, agents. So who's ever worked with an agent before? A real estate agent. Okay. So when you think about the realtors, we are the realtors. So outside of the fact that we have been established to ensure there's democracy in housing, our number one goal is Black home ownership, and to increase that. We were created and established in 1947, and we have over 120 local boards across the nation. We're the oldest Black real estate trade organization. A lot of people don't know that, and you have one right in your backyard, so that is the Cleveland Realtors. I'm a part of it. I'm going to make sure that we go down the line. So let's start with our local board president, Madam Laisha. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Good morning, everyone. Again, thank you for being here. My name is Laisha Bailey. I'm the local board president for the Greater Cleveland Realtors Association, and I'm also a licensed real estate agent with the Era Real Estate Group.
Madam Debbie.
Hi, everybody. My name is Deborah Bonner, and I am the immediate past president and the current board chair for the Greater Cleveland Realtors Association. And I am a realtor / realtist with Fast Real Estate Services in Cherry.
And Madam Lydia Pope.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lydia Pope. I'm the past national president of NAREB, which is the National Association of Real Estate Brokers to Realtors. Also, I am a housing counselor for NID Housing Agency, and we focus on first-time home buyers, credit, budget, and those that are losing their homes.
So who won? So we're going to do a little bit of interaction with you, because I know this is a long time to sit. We want to make sure you're getting the information. What do you think is the number one way you can create generational wealth? Anybody want to guess?
Real estate.
Real estate? Real estate, yes, real estate. Who wants to take a guess? Who knows or would like to guess? What do you think the percentage of Black home ownership is in this country?
Like 20 to 30%.
20 to 30, I heard someone over here. 3%, ooh, okay. Back here? 20, so I'm hearing 20, 30, and we heard 3%. Somebody had one other person who said 40, 40, see, you're close. So we're at 44%.
Oh, 44.
In the country when it comes to Black home ownership. What about our white counterparts? What do you think the home ownership statistic is for them?
70.
60, 100?
100.
Well, at 100, that means everybody on top, you know that? Okay. 80, okay, so close. 75%.
Okay.
75%. Why we share the numbers, and we're gonna talk about it.
Red line.
Because, well, okay, but why we share the numbers is because we have work to do. We have work to do to get us there. You being in this room today is going to enable us to increase Black home ownership numbers, okay? When you think about affordability, let's talk about it. So, Madam Leisha, do you know what the population for Cleveland is, Black population around?
I don't know the exact number, but I know Cleveland is a predominantly Black city and it's around, I believe, 85% or so.
85% or so, okay? When we think about affordability and what we want to see our numbers, so our goals, we can't do this alone, we have to do it with you, right? So for us to get to 85% numbers, we have to increase it. We want our home ownership rate to be exactly, if not above, where our population is. So our goal for Cleveland is to get us to 85%, okay? So Madam Leisha, let's start with you for this amazing panel. Tell us why, because Madam Debbie threw out a word called the realtors. We're not talking about the realtors today, we're talking about the realtors. Why were the realtors established, number one, in your eyes, and number two, why should those that are in the audience today work with a realtors when they're buying a home?
Sure. Well, first, definitely not in my eyes, and everybody's eyes, where we were established back in the day, I will say. We were not allowed to be realtors because we were Black real estate professionals. So a lot of our folks had to make a way to sell houses. Essentially, there are stories that we hear of people having to sell homes sight unseen across the street, couldn't enter the home, couldn't do the things that we do today to make sure that you have safe, affordable housing and making sure that you understand the condition of the property. Obviously, there were areas you could not sell in, you could not own it, you name the gamut due to discrimination, segregation, and other practices in the country that put us behind the 8 ball as far as home ownership. So our folks, I forget the number of, correct me if I'm wrong, was about 11 folks down in Tampa that got together. About 11 folks got together in Tampa, Florida. 1947, our organization was established, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. And since that time, we have been leading the charge in promoting and growing Black home ownership. The local Cleveland chapter was established in 1948. So we consider ourselves a legacy chapter. We've been doing this for almost 8 years alongside our national organization. So when you are looking to purchase your home, it's important that you are working with someone who is a realtor, because we understand the challenges, we understand the history, and we know what it means when you get those keys outside of just doing it personally, what it means to us as a people and as progress in this country for ownership.
So Madam Debbie, I want to go over to you. So who has heard, I think it was a couple years ago in pop culture, do you remember when Cardi B was talking about the fact that she'd rather own a Birkin than a home? Does anybody remember that?
She hits back, we don't.
Okay, touche. But that actually is a quite interesting concept, right? Because a lot of times what we see is people get excited, they want to go buy a car first, they want to buy the washer and dryer or the furniture. But Madam Debbie, as a real estate professional, as a realtist, what would you say is the first thing that the people in the audience here, our next home buyers, should do when they're getting ready to buy a home?
Well, Madam Amber, the first thing that I believe that you should do is to connect with NIV. You need to connect with a housing counselor, especially one that works with us. And then, once you have figured out exactly where you stand and when your home buyer ready, then you will contact the Greater Cleveland Realtors Association, where we will assist you to find a real estate professional who can help you find a home. And then once you found that perfect home, at that point, then we will also help you find a home inspector who will help you do a home inspection. We will help you with an appraiser if you do get the chance to choose one. And there are a variety of other professionals such as title companies. There are other professionals that you need to work with that you can get through us. So we're the ones that can help you with that process because we have gone through it and we have the expertise, we have the experience, and we have those relationships that are so important in the home buying process. So you need to connect with the Greater Cleveland Realtors Association and we can help you all through the whole entire process.
Thank you, Madam Lily, because what we see a lot of times is real estate professionals will get a call on the phone. They're excited, they want to see the house, right? So they want to go out and say, okay, Amber, I want to see a house, 300,000 and so. That's great. But where they start is not where they necessarily should start. And so Madam Debbie actually called out something. I'm going to go over to Madam Lydia's Hope to talk about NID. Because before we go out and see homes, we really want to know what can you afford. Because the worst thing you can do is start looking at homes and fall in love with the house, but you can't afford it yet. So Madam Lydia, tell us some of those steps in the home buying process from NID's perspective.
Okay, good morning, afternoon. I'm Lydia Pope with NID Housing Agency. We're a HUD-approved counseling agency. So when you say HUD-approved, doesn't mean we sell HUD homes or any of that. Our goal is that we're funded through the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which means that all the services to you is at no cost. What we do as a housing agency, our goal is to get you ready before you buy the home. Meaning that we don't represent the banks, we don't represent the real estate agents, we don't represent anyone but you as a client. So our first goal is to know where you are. Before you seek any lending, before you go to any real estate agent or realtist, what you want to do is make sure you know where you're at. So what we do at no cost is we run free credit reports. There's a soft pull, not a hard pull, so it does not affect your score. And it's a mortgage-based soft report, so it gets you closer to knowing what your lender is. That's the most important thing first. Then we sit down and do a one-on-one, where we talk behind closed doors, whether it's virtually or in person. We go over your credit, because you don't know where you're at. You need to know what your score is. You need to know what you need to do. We talk about your budget. I look at your bank statements just to make sure that, seeing how you're doing your spending. And, if you did a little bit of spending, now is the time to, slow it down, and we're going to talk about those processes, and we put a plan together. We want to make sure before you get to the banks, before you get to anybody, that you don't get a no. We want to make sure you walk out with a yes, so we try to take our time and walk through that process to get you to the score that you want. Now, we know banks are different. Every bank has different programs, but as a HUD agency, that's our goal. The last part that we do is we provide home buyer workshops at no cost. We work with OHFA and all the banks. So the banks need, if you're looking to buy a home and they say, hey, I'm giving you $10,000 down payment, you need to go to a home buying class. That's me. If you need to go and apply online to get down payment assistance mortgage tax credit, as OHFA does. I know John, you did a great job explaining the programs. Guess what? We're on that list for HUD counselors. We are the ones who provide the certificate that you need to buy a home. So that's what we do as a housing agency. We don't charge. We have our counselors here today. They're upstairs in the second floor. We'll talk a little bit later about how that process is going to work today.
Actually, Madam Pope, can we go through that? Because I know we have some people in the audience who are chomping at the bit to get that free credit report and get home buying ready. What do they need to do today to start the process?
So today, many were in line filling out this application. Like, why am I filling out this application? What is this? What this application is the first start to buying a home. Once we get your application today, you'll see a counselor, not to counsel, because we don't counsel unless it's private, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. But what this does, it gets you in the door to getting that certificate. Now, when you buy a home, sometimes you have to have 8 hours of education time. Some banks require that. Today counts as that. So once you've completed this process, you go upstairs, you complete your form, you talk to a counselor, then what we'll do is that we will send you an email. We have our orientation coming up. where you can understand more deeper depth what we do, and then get you scheduled for your one-on-one, your credit pull, and get this process started. But this is like going to the doctor. This is your intake. Get you started so we know information about you, so we can send you information, so you can know about the workshops, so you can know what to do to get a lot of the down payment money. And I'll end with this. There's 3 types of funding that you can get. You can get state money, bank money, and city county money. And a lot of those funds, buyers don't know. You can layer those funds to get more money. But that's what we teach you in the classes. That's what we go over in our one-on-one sessions. So hopefully this helps to know that. But this is your key and your ticket to your certificate and getting you ready for that process.
Thank you, Madam Pope. So Madam Leisha, once our home buyers have gotten their certificate, they're ready to buy, what is the next step then?
Once you've done your certificate and you're ready to buy, again, NID will connect you with a realtor, agent, a professional who is going to help you sit down and understand exactly what it is that you're looking for, what neighborhoods you would like to look in, what are some of the considerations you have for your home, what are the non-negotiables. Do you need 2 or 3, 4 bedrooms? Do you need to be located near a school? If you have children, is it access to work that's important to you? Or whatever those amenities are that you are looking for in your home. And also understanding that whatever the funds that you have been approved to work with, to really understand how you can make those dollars work for you in your best interest. One thing that I will say just as a practitioner, all of us is, as the banks approve you, they give you the money, you're like, yes, I want to go out and buy, but what is your actual budget? And that's where NID has already talked to you about schools you want and say, okay, you're going to go out there and see all these houses, and you're going to be so excited, and that's great. And we want to make sure you get what fits your budget, because what we're interested in is sustainable homeownership. Not just giving you the keys to that home and getting you in the door, but making sure you can stay there for the longevity that you want, or even set you up for the next process of buying your next home as your lifestyle changes.
So Madam Debbie, coming over to you, when we go and take a look at the homes, we talked about things like down payment assistance, closing costs. A lot of times our clients don't realize there's 2 different fees that are associated with the purchase of the home. Can you talk a little bit about making sure that they get savings ready to purchase them?
Well, yes, you need to be ready for some costs that you will have to put out at the time of, at the time when you actually do your contract. So once you found that perfect home, there will be one thing that you'll need to talk about is earnest money. You will have to put down, it's usually like a percentage of the purchase price. It might be, could be $500, it could be $1,000, that you will have to, in a sense, put up as showing that you are serious about the offer that you are putting to the seller for the home that you potentially want to purchase. Other things that you might have to pay for in advance, you might have to have some money set aside for that home inspection. A home inspection could cost you $400, $500. And that's something that you will pay for, because we, as your real estate professional, we will give you some names of some people that we've worked with, some realtors members that we've worked with and people that we trust. And you will pay them directly. So we will give you their names and you will contact them and decide who you want to work with as far as your home inspector. Another thing you'll have to probably pay upfront is your appraisal. Now, whoever your lender is, and depending on what type of loan you get, you will have to pay for an appraisal. So there are other things that you will have to think about. You'll also have to think about closing costs. These are different things that we will discuss when we sit down. You see what I'm saying? When we sit down as a real estate professional, we will have a consultation with you and go over all of these type of costs. So you'll know in advance what kind of money you'll need to have set aside for your home purchase. And that's about it.
I think that's great. So I think we threw out a couple terms. Who's familiar with what an appraisal is? Raise your hand if you are. And it's okay if you're not. Okay. So an appraiser is going to go out to the home that you have a contract on and do an assessment. They're going to look outside the house from top to bottom, inside the house from top to bottom. And they are going to pull something called comparables. in the neighborhood to see what is sold that is a like property in the neighborhood, usually within, we like to say, within at least 4 weeks, but we can go back 6 months, but that's not important for this conversation. But what this means is the appraisal is actually for the bank. And that's where a lot of our clients get a little bit tripped up, right? So the bank wants to make sure that if you are paying $250,000 for the house, what is the very least that house should be appraised for? Somebody guess.
You said 2,000.
So the house, if you're buying a house for $250,000 and the bank is going out to do an appraisal, what do you believe is the very least that house should be appraised for? 250, because you're taking a loan out on 250. So they want to make sure that if something happens, they're going to get their home price back for what they loaned to you. So that's what they're looking at, just making sure. Madam Debbie also talked about a, what was the other one, an inspection, a home inspection. So that is for you as the buyer of the house. You want to make sure that everything is in decent and order to make sure that you can move into it. And if it's not, then that becomes a negotiation with the seller. So we won't get into that today, but those are two terms I just want to make sure that you understand. Madam Lydia, I'm coming back over to you because we talked about you have to get home buyer ready. You have your piece of paper from NIT. You work with your realtors. You have a contract. You are out there making sure that the appraisal is now done. You are ensuring that your home inspection is done. But what is one or two things that you see from a credit perspective that then kills the deal and it never gets to the closing table because they didn't come and talk to you first?
Great question. So I want to back up quickly to say that when we have our workshops, the realtors is there as well. So when we walk you through what that appraisal is, we walk you through what that means. We talk about that, the steps of the home buying. We go over the credit, we go over the budget. We walk you through the loan process to understand what's an FHA, VA, conventional, what should I get kind of thing. So those home buyer workshops are geared towards that. So we have them monthly and we have them every month. Now we have them twice a month now because of the amount of folks that have been in our workshops now. We've gathered to that. So once you sign the form together, you go over that, your emails will have all the dates of our home buyer workshops as well. You get all the data and the information. But the main thing that we find as a housing counselor, and I've been doing the counseling for 30 years now, I'll be 31 in June, and what I find out for a lot of the clients when they get to that process without seeking a housing counselor is always, number one, your debt to income ratio. What we find out is even though you have a 750 score, you have the greatest score in the world, but if your debts are too high, it doesn't qualify you to buy that house. That's the first thing. So we want to make sure we're looking at your debts. How can you lower your debts? How do we handle your personal student loans? What kind of student loans you have, the federal, private ones, whatnot. So we talk through all of that process when you're looking at your credit report. And we actually pull 3 because the lender looks at the middle score, by the way. And then the other part that I find that there's a barrier is when it comes to buying a home, not just the debt to income ratio, but now it's your cash flow, it's your down payment. You know, Debbie explained what is needed as upfront money. Our goal as a counselor to make sure you have it and to talk through that. And you can do ways of, even though you may have down payment assistance, you still gotta have some funds saved. Rather it's funds that you have in your 401k or funds that you have saved. So our goal is to know that these are the upfront money that Debbie talked about. And this is what you need to prepare, just so you don't walk into this home buying process backwards. The worst feeling is you get all the way to the middle, the lender comes back and say, hey, we just ran your credit report. We should have had it earlier, but we ran it now. And guess what? Your debt to income too high, so you really can't qualify for this house. And you're already in a contract, and you already told your landlord you gotta go. So that's why you wanna do the precursor to everything. I tell everyone, it's like going to court without an attorney, because you wanna make sure you got some representation, so when you go in, you're going in strong. And that's what housing counselors do. They get you that preparation. But those are my two, Madam Amber, is credit and money.
Thank you. And Alicia, coming back over to you for our home buyers that are in the class today. What do you think is one of the main best practices they should think about as they're getting home buyer ready?
I think some of the best practices is what Madam Lydia kind of was already talking about is, number one, being aware of your credit. I know a lot of times you don't want to look We don't wanna know. I heard someone asking a question earlier around like if you had some delinquencies in the past. Some people think that those things completely stops you from being able to purchase a home, and that's just not true. So the first thing I would say is making sure you're getting connected with NIU just to sit down, getting that free credit report because it's free, it's no cost to you, and just really understanding where your credit health is. Another best practice is, I would say, is also making sure you're knowing what's coming in and out of your bank account. Like we talked about the spending just a little bit. I know some of us, we like to dash and we like to, stop and get some things on the way home, et cetera. But it's really about preparing yourself to be able to qualify for that pre-approval when you're sitting down with the lender after you've been through your housing counseling agency. And I would also say a best practice is just to also understand what's currently happening in the market. If you have a neighborhood or et cetera that you're interested in, understanding what's going on in that community, being able to really speak to about what it is that you're looking for. Because sometimes you get that approval letter, you kind of know what you want, but you don't exactly know exactly where you necessarily want to be sometimes. And for those of you who do know exactly where you want to be, that's great. But I would just say be aware of, homes that's on the market and things that are happening in that community as well.
Matt, I want to come back over to you. Let's talk about one of the things I think culturally we do that also is a barrier for us to be able to purchase a home. Let's talk about mattress money. That money that we know is under the mattress, that we never put into the bank, but we need it in the bank to buy the house. Now, what is your recommendation there? Should they move that money out the mattress?
So so mattress money, and I had a lot of clients that had some mattress money. So what we recommend is that if you have some cash, and we know that where you stand in your work plan, when we meet with you, we'll put a plan together. So say you're not buying a house for the next 6 months, I'll just have you gradually start putting that money back in the account. Because what happens when the lenders look at your credit report, they ask for your last 3 months bank statements if you're employed, then they may ask for that. And if it shows this huge lump sum, they consider it like payment. So you can't use those funds as down payment. Then you have to then use your own savings. So if you have some mattress money, when you meet with your counselor, start gradually kind of bringing that into your accounts before you buy. That way, once you get there, they ask for the last couple months of bank statements, that you have that. Now, if you're self-employed, it's a different conversation because mattress money and self-employment is different. Sometimes the lenders may ask for 12 months of bank statements, so it just depends. So seeing a counselor first and just acknowledging to us that you have some mattress money. And then we'll talk through that process and walk you through. And the last thing I wanted to say was, like you was talking when you deal with the lender, make sure when you're talking, when you're working with your lender as well, because loan companies, again, are all different. And their processes are all different. Not every loan company is the same. So whatever bank you work with or mortgage company you work with, just making sure you understand what their criteria is before you go too deep into getting your loan application with them. Because every loan is different, every bank is different. And when you go in there, you may be going into the, I won't say the incorrect bank, maybe that's not the one for you. You gotta find the one that fits you. So we have quite a few of them out there today too.
Thank you, ma'am. Matt, Debbie, coming over to you. So we talked through everything. We have our contract on the house. The mattress money has been moved into the bank. I heard somebody over there say no. That means that I want your mattress money in the bank tomorrow. So we are getting ready to literally head home. We have our signed contract. The appraisal has come back great. We've done a little bit of negotiation around the home inspection, et cetera, et cetera. Matt said, we bring us home. How do we close this deal? And then what are the final steps?
All right, first I would like to emphasize the fact that even though we're heading home, do not buy anything else. Do not go out and buy a new car. Do not go out and buy furniture. Don't lend anybody any money. Just don't go shopping, period. Just wait.
That's the truth.
Wait until you hear those magic words that we in real estate love to hear. Wait till you hear us tell you that we have a clear to close. That is when the lender tells us, okay, everything is in place, we're getting ready to disperse, we're getting ready to sign. When I tell you that they're getting ready to call you from the title company and they're going to schedule your signing At that point, you can just say, whoo, and then schedule the signing of your paperwork. It's gonna be a lot of paperwork. It's gonna be a lot. But this is the way that you know that you're on the way to getting those keys to your home. But I just want to emphasize, like, please don't buy anything. Please, 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 don't buy anything. Just hold tight, because you'll be able to do it after you sign and got those keys. Feel free, but then you still gotta be careful. You said, don't go home wild. Don't go buy a whole bunch of stuff. Because they're still gonna, don't they have to come back and look at your credit one more time?
Yeah, they'll run your credit one more time before closing.
So just be careful, just be careful. Because we want to be able to handle your keys without no problem.
So the last thing I want to get to, and then we'll take a couple questions from the audience, I think we have enough time. Who knows about heirs property? Have you ever heard of heirs property before?
Aaron or
Heirs. Heirs property. Have you ever heard of Big Mama's house, that concept? Yeah. Okay, so okay, you know. So let's talk about that, because we talked about purchasing a home. But one of the other ways that we build generational wealth in the Black community is to keep the homes that we already have. And that is heirs property. That is Big Mama's house. So think about it this way. The home that Granny had that was in the family, and then Granny passes, and it goes down to the aunts and the uncles, and then everybody's kind of bickering and fighting. Should I sell the house? No, we should keep the house. No, you know, cousin Jimmy needs to live in the house. He has nowhere to live. Da 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 da. That's Big Mama. One of the things that we're seeing in our community is speculators. They will come to you and they will have a conversation. I'm going to give you $20,000 today for Big Mama's house, right? And it sounds great. Because $20,000, if you don't have anything, sounds like $100,000. Sounds like $1 million if you have an issue. But one of the things that we want to focus on with you as realtors when you're coming to talk to us, not just about how to purchase a house, but it's how to keep that generational wealth that's already in your family. There's a lot of different things that you can do with Big Mama's house, or the cousin's house, or the family house. You can Airbnb it, you can hold it, you can use the land. There's a lot of different things. So Laisha, I want to come over to you around heirs property. You do a lot in the city of Cleveland. So she has an urban planning background, and so she looks and understands communities and how they're built. But not even that, the conversation about the fact that we don't have to save our block if we never sell our block. Can you explain to the people here today how they can keep that money in their own household?
So, first, let me just kind of talk a little bit demographically. Like, we understand in Ohio and even in our own local area that we have an aging population. We're one of the older states in the country. And so with that, we also have, also locally, just an older housing stock. So we understand that when our loved one is no longer able to take care of them, or they have passed on, that sometimes that can be a burden, because if they weren't able to get home resource repairs, or weren't able to upkeep the property before that property transitions to other members of the family, we understand that that can be cumbersome. And also we understand just navigating family, sometimes people think, you know, a home is gonna be worth X amount of dollars, and they're pushing the sale, and they're pushing like, okay, to Madam Amber's point, the speculators come, they're gonna give us $20,000, and everybody can get $4,000 or $5,000, and you walk away and it's on our hands. But what I would just like to say again is, you really need to know all your options on the table, but it kind of also goes back to starting out, also as Madam Cole to chime in, is with the planning of that, making sure that you have wills, and make sure you have trust sometimes in place with our family. And look, I saw that all the time when there's property that needs to be transferred upon death, or there's other things that can happen that are unforeseen. And a lot of times we do not have those things in place, kind of like insurance. Sometimes we don't have the proper insurance when it's time to make those tough decisions. And so things aren't taken care of on the front end. And so that's why we have all the voices and predatory situations that can happen, because we don't have the proper paperwork and tools in place to handle those types of things. So what I will say is just, as you all are here today, thinking about your own home, you know, think about those things for the future. Whether you know, you want to pass it on to someone, whether it's children or nephews, nieces, cousins, whoever it is, what your family status is, and just making sure that you're thinking about those things after you close on that house, and understanding what your options are to secure that home and keep it in your family, and also keep it in the community. Because one thing about Cleveland is we are definitely an area where outside investors are coming in and scooping up our properties, et cetera, in our neighborhoods. And so we just want to make sure that we can keep the wealth locally and also in our communities. But I'll ask, in the panelists, we have something else that you want to ask the conversation.
Yeah, I'll add to that. So NID, we just don't do just pre-purchase counseling. So a lot of housing counselors, we also work with homeowners. So when I mentioned earlier, if you're losing your home, you're behind, you come to us. So we put a plan together. We don't want you to sell your home, we want you to keep your home. And that costs zero. It doesn't cost you anything to come see us. When it comes to those heirs properties, Big Mama's house, let's sit down and talk about a plan. Let's look and find out, maybe someone in the family can purchase it. Maybe it's a reverse mortgage. Maybe for seniors, maybe it's not selling the property, but keeping it in the family. So the goal is to sit down with the family and find out what those options are. You know, what is the current mortgage payment? What is the interest rate? Can you refinance? Do we need to take out a type of loan? Some organizations have some rehabilitation loans that you can take out as well. But there's ways to find out before you make that one decision to jump into it and sell Big Mama's house. You're losing the Black wealth in the community that you have, and then again, that generational wealth continues. My same house that my mama lived in, that I lived in, my brother owns it now. We kept that house in the family. It is on 106 in Union. So we are still in it, my family is still in the neighborhood, keeping that same house generation after generation after, and then his kids don't have it. Because that's what it's about. But now that property has built equity in it because the value of houses went up tremendously. Now that $30,000 house becomes a $90,000 house. Now guess what? Now that equity spreads. So I just wanted to add on to that do not sell first. Know your options before you do anything on selling property.
And before we leave that, can you talk a little bit about the other programs that you have at NIT if they're looking for it? So I know reverse mortgage, for example, just regular credit counseling. Can you hit that, please?
Yes, so there's a lot of services that housing counselors do. And again, you can find us on the HUD.gov website as well, is that it's just not home buying. Some people come in and just want credit. They don't want to buy a home. They just want to know where their credit at and where it stands. So we work with folks that are looking at credit only, budget only. Sometimes your budget, even people who buy homes, come on back and look at your budget again and see where you're at. Because we look at that debt to income ratio before you go close an account. You gotta be careful. You may close an existing account that has your biggest history and your score won't drop. So there's things that we need to look at. We also offer, as Madam Amber said, we do reverse mortgage counseling. That's for 62 years old and older. People have a misconception about reverse mortgage counseling. It's surprising the equity in your house can pay for someone's living expenses, especially a person that wants to stay in their home for the rest of their life and don't have to go into any type of home care that can actually pay for all your home care. You'll be so surprised the options it has, so it's understanding and educating. We do workshops on living to trust. We just had one in December. Do you know what a trust is? Should your house be in a trust? Should you have a deed? And then we also work with those, again, that are losing their houses. Don't be afraid. If you're behind, we need to help you. That's what we're here for. We may not have the state money anymore, as it went around sometime, but there are so many other options you can do to save your home and not lose your home. So those are all the services that we offer. When you go on the HUD.gov website and you look under NID or any HUD agency, you will see what they offer, and then we can call and talk a little bit deeper conversation about it.
Okay, so in closing, I want to go down the line with one takeaway. I'll just share for the audience here. This is the one thing I want you to remember. You don't remember anything else. You did the first step today by coming here. This is your third row that you've come here. You obviously want it. I want to make sure that you go after your dream. If your dream is to own a home, do it. One of the biggest lies pop culture will feed us, especially as Black people, is that real estate doesn't count. It doesn't. They're going to push you to rent. Now, I'm a both-and girl. If you want to rent a house, if you want to rent an apartment, that's great. Do it. But own real estate, invest in real estate, diversify your portfolio. Because why do you think that they want to keep you away from real estate? Anybody want to take that?
To have control.
Say that again?
To have control.
Okay. It's a power play. The person who owns the most land wins. They don't make any more land. So you have to own a piece of land. Madam Clerk, what's your takeaway?
My takeaway is all that are here today, make sure you go to the second floor, complete your intake, get started with the process, at least start from square one. know where you're at. So that's fine. We'll be there till 1:30 today. Our counselors are there, they're upstairs, they're waiting for you, and then we'll do a follow-up on Monday. All those that have done their intake, we get a follow-up on your next steps.
Madam Secretary? Well, one thing I wanted to add, as far as I had mentioned, don't believe everything that you see on social media. It's not easy as it may seem, but we're gonna help you through the process. Also, don't believe everything you see on HGTV. Don't believe that you see 3 homes and, oh, I found the perfect home. Sometimes you might need to see 10. Sometimes you might need to see 15. It might take you more than a few months. It might take you a couple of years. So just don't believe everything that you see on television or in social media. And please contact the Greater Cleveland Realtors Association to help you through this process. We are here and waiting to help you.
My takeaway is I want to make sure that we, homeownership for Cleveland by Clevelanders, born and raised here, making sure that we are the ones benefiting from the appreciation in our community, making sure that we are putting everyone here who is from the area to be able to be a homeowner. Again, like I said, our area is in the spotlight for investment, for affordability compared to other parts of the country. And I just want to make sure, we all want to make sure that the folks who want to buy into the front and work with Cleveland are able to do so.
So we'll turn it back over to our radio and partners. Do we have time for questions, or did you want to kick it back?
You two should take a couple questions. Take a couple questions.
Okay, do we have any questions?
And
This goes back to the big mama thing. My grandmother, she passed away, and her house is paid off, and it's like in our family, but they're different over it. But over the years, it started to deteriorate. Is it any way that we could keep it, or like, is it best to sell it, or what can we do if they can keep it?
What I would say is, you need to sit down and look at what the options are. I know you said it's free and clear. You have family members who are fighting over it, but did your family specifically have that transfer to someone, or you don't know? Okay, so yeah, I think we need to just sit down and look at what the options are regarding that. I don't know who, again, is making those decisions. We can't tell you what's best, because we don't know the situation, but it's definitely,
Specifically, a real estate attorney, that might be your first time. It's fine. Yeah, we refer you to still contact Greater Cleveland Realtors Association. We can refer you to a real estate attorney or other professionals who can help you with that.
Mine's more, it's not a question more or less, but, we had a family member that just recently passed away. He owned a home. My mom helped him purchase the home and things like that. The idea of me either having this conversation is like, you do want to keep it in the family. My mom is currently now going at it with other family members that want to keep the home, like his children. She's trying to send a home to probate. And, I myself is like, I got my own opinion, but she wants to send a home probate because he has 3 children, which one opt out on it, and 2 others are fighting for it because one sibling took everything and left the other siblings nothing, but he didn't write a will or anything. He said he'd rather go to probate. So, like, I know because I was in real estate classes that if you go to probate, you just giving the court's money. But ideally, like, what does it take from that? Like, because one do want to keep it in the family, but it's like, it's my uncle, so it's going to be in her family versus our immediate family or his immediate family, which he wasn't married, so, but it's going to probate. Like, so it's like, what do you take from that?
So, great question. I'm going to remind everybody, we are not attorneys. And these are very deep questions, right? And we want to make sure that we're sitting to the right person. The answer is always going to be, and the theme that I want you to take away from this is there are options. but you have to, it's called sunk cost. You have to spend money to get the answers that you need. I know a lot of times you want to chat GPT it, co-pilot, come up with your ask question, it's a phenomenal question, but we have to put the money into it. And I would say speak with a real estate attorney. There's title companies that you can speak with. The answer I'm going to give you is that we can refer you over to resources that you need that are a part of our network within the realtors, but our answer is always going to be figure out what you can do with that house, okay? So I know, and that sounds a little messy, right? And we know that is.
I don't have a hand in it.
Yeah, the answer is always going to be whoever is a part of it, refer them back to an attorney for that, okay? To make sure they always have the right.
And I have a quick question as well. So for Big Mama's house, if they still had a mortgage on the home and all of that, are there resources to help keep those things up while it goes through probate, or does somebody just have to come up with the money until everything is finalized? I don't know, with probate, are there resources?
So yes, there are resources available to be able to do repairs on the home. So first I would say, look at what city you're in, because there's things like the Home Repair Resource Center, for example, in Cleveland Heights, that I know has money specifically if you live in Cleveland Heights. The city of Cleveland also has different programs as well to be able to provide it to you. So you have to do your research. Additionally, what I would say, if it's about the repair costs or anything that's happening, I'm gonna also refer you back over to NID, because they will make sure they sit down with you, create what that plan is going to be, and make sure that you're getting to the programs that are available to you as well. So the answer is you do not need to just let it go, right? Don't just turn a blind eye. Let's figure out what resources are available for you out there. Great question.
I just wanted to know, do you all work with the land bank as far as the properties that they have for sale?
If you're interested in a land bank property, that's something that we can take a look at. It just depends on how that relationship is set up with that property in particular. Sometimes they already have relationships established in certain cities, et cetera, that they're moving the house through. But if there's a property that you're interested in, you're working with a realtor or someone, then we can just find out how that process would work for a home that you're interested in.
One right here, and then he'll be the last.
You can go first. Okay. So I was wondering about the FHA loan. So I've spoken with a few lenders before, and they were saying that if your credit was below like a 640 or something, that the proper route would be like to get an FHA loan. I know like for the Ohio homebuyer program, it's like you have to be at 650. Do you guys help with like different avenues for that if your credit isn't so great? Because like I know, you can go ahead. I just was like, because I mean, I don't really know much about the different kinds of loans or conventional. I know you have to have like a higher credit score for that.
So just briefly, so FHA, for those who don't know, FHA is not just always low credit score. Sometimes a person needs more money to buy a home. It helps to stretch your income amount. Like say you can afford a home at $300,000, FHA can maybe get you at $350 because it stretches its limits. But not, there are programs out there that you do not have to go FHA that are conventional products. That starts off at a 620. Banks are all different. Sometimes banks, they get what they call funds in order to, they call CRA funds, community reinvestment funds, to be able to have programs for low score home buyers. So just because you have a 620, you should be able to go either way, conventional or FHA, unless you're a veteran, you can do VA. So I would say when you sit down with the counselor, we look at your credit, we look at your score, then we talk about different banks and products that will help you determine and interview to say, okay, I have a 620 score, can I get into a bank, can I go conventional? So to answer your question, it doesn't have to be FHA. There are other myriad of other financing methods that you can get at that credit score.
Last question over here.
I got a question. I was established within 2 credit unions, and I'm currently trying to move away from one, but I've been in this one I started with for a long time, over 10 years. So is it good to just walk away from them or just keep my account open there and still have nothing?
The credit unions, is this for your savings, for your down payment? Is that what you're?
No, I'm saying I'm establishing two. I was in Emerald, now I'm in Navy. So I don't really want to deal with Emerald anymore. I'm going to Navy. But I'm asking you, should I still leave my account for Emerald still open since I've been there so many years?
So when buying a home, the lenders are not concerned about the years you have with that banking institution. It's more so where you have your bank account at, like where your pay stubs going in, where your paychecks coming in. So if you decide you want to switch to a credit union that's maybe lower fees, more viable, as long as you have that tracking history to show that you'll be fine. And if it is, I know it may not be the 3 months, it may be just 1 month. We just let the lenders know that as well. You just want to make sure you have the funds in there to show at least a couple, we always try to say 3 months, because that shows that you have money being deposited, they can see the transaction history. But if you close out an account and say you started to buy a home, and they say, oh, I need 3 months, and you've already just closed it to open a new one, then they may want to look at your last 2 histories with your old account. It depends on the lender, just to see what that was. And when you close it out, you should still have your bank statements from there. And then your third one will be your new account that you just opened. We just got to show a tracking mechanism.
All right, thank you so much to our wonderful panel. This is always one of my favorite panels. The Cleveland Realtors Association and NID, Amber Lewis, Deborah Bonner, Laisha Bailey, and Lydia Pope. Thank you so much, ladies. And all of this information will be available on our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook pages. So you want to make sure you look for that, 93 Cleveland, WCAK, WCAKCleveland.com for all your good information. I know you're stretching. We got one more person that we're going to introduce. And we're going to give away that washer and dryer. And I know it's been a long day, stretch a little bit, but we are about to speak with Lauren Molnar from Believe Mortgage. They have some great solutions for you if you are going through the home buying process. So we'll stretch it out a little bit. Make sure if you have not registered for that washer and dryer yet, make sure you get on up there and register, because we will be giving that away right after Laura speaks. How are you?
I'm good. How's everybody in here doing? Thank you for hanging in there. Thank you. I'm Lauren Molnar. I am the mortgage market leader and sales manager for Believe Mortgage. But before I introduce Believe, I want to just take a quick second and introduce myself. I have been in the home lending field for the last 14, soon to be 15 years. And a lot of that was with the corporate background. So I want to start off with a little bit of gratitude today. I am super, super grateful to be with Believe Mortgage, where I can take that experience and kind of put it into a community lens. And I'm really, really grateful to be in this room with you all today. And then one more bit of vulnerability here before we get started. I am flexing my muscle with this public speaking. So thank you all for your grace as you get going. This is pretty close to one of the biggest audiences I've presented to. So I appreciate your patience and your grace as we go. But to introduce Believe Mortgage, right? Show of hands. Who in the room has ever heard of CHN Housing Partners, formerly known as Even Housing Network? Is anybody familiar with them? Yes, 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 yes. A lot of hands, a lot of no hands. So kind of 1,000-foot overview. CHN Housing Partners is a super long-standing nonprofit in our area. Pretty darn close to 45 years long-standing, so long time, right? Last 6 years, they have expanded what they do, so they still do what they do. They're gonna keep doing what they're gonna keep doing, right? But they have opened up their lending arm. which is Believe Mortgage. So under CHN Housing Partners, Believe Mortgage is a mortgage lender. Just like a bank, just like a credit union, we are a mortgage lender. But we are also a nonprofit. So it's quite a bit different hat that we wear, because we are a nonprofit in the mortgage lending space. I think we're literally one of two in Ohio, so it's pretty uncommon. And under this mortgage lending arm of CHN Housing Partners, there's a few different things that we do. So we have free access to counseling and education. We offer both a basics and HUD-approved home buying education course for free, reliably, twice a month. And while they are both free and accessible, they are really easy to accommodate, or as easy as they can be. Two of the courses, the basics course and then that HUD-approved course, which we're going to talk a little bit more about, 8 hours, spoiler alert, are offered via Zoom, one of which is in the evenings. So we try to make the counseling as reachable as it can be. We also offer financial coaching. I think that's a huge differentiator for us from traditional lending. In a perfect world, you're going to call us, we're going to help you move right forward towards homeownership. But sometimes through that conversation, we identify something that's preventing you from moving forward in this moment. And our goal just shifts. It changes a little bit. We want to figure out what it is that's holding you back and start to game plan around it. So we have our homeownership center, a counseling agency, who can help get you ready to purchase over time with a little bit of guidance and some hand holding so that we can be kind of an approachable entry point to homeownership, honestly. But where we're mostly going to be focusing right now is with our home purchase mortgage loans and our down payment assistance program. I just heard the microphone kick in, so I don't know if I was talking loud enough earlier. Thank you. That's where we're going to be focusing a lot of our energy today, where we're actually going to land with this home ownership piece. What it is that we're actually moving towards. A lot of the questions today have been around that home lending piece, and I am super, super excited to answer whatever I can, hopefully through our presentation, and then we'll do a Q&A at the end too. So please ask away. I am lit for questions. All right. This is an illustration of basically how we intend to help along the journey and a bit about what you can expect. We often start with that education and counseling piece, especially when needed. And then we reach our team, our lending side. This is the place where we're going to pre-qualify and help move you over to the next step, which is working with a realtor or a realtors, the ladies on our panel earlier, who are going to help with the kind of more fun side of homeownership, right? Where we're actively looking at properties, hopefully liking one, so on and so forth. And then once we get to the place where we have that accepted offer, you come back to us and we help walk you through the journey. We take that application, we walk you through each step. Some of the items that were mentioned earlier today, that earnest money deposit. We let you know, hey, just so you know, this home inspection is coming up. When we're ready, we take payment for the appraisal, and then we, hopefully in the not too distant future, after a few more requests, get you ready to close and keys in hand. And I think it's important to know that you don't need to have your full grasp on how this journey is going to go. It's a little bit of a leap of faith. It's important that you like and trust the lending institution that you're working with. And it's important that you like and trust the realtor, because we are a team. It is a team, and it takes a team to get from start to finish. You don't need to know everything. I like to kind of just take it one piece at a time, and that first piece is, I think, sometimes one of the hardest things to do. Honestly, I think it puts you in a very vulnerable position to kind of rip off that Band-Aid, pick up that phone, call a lender and say, hey, where do I start? What does this look like? Can I move forward? Is there anything that's preventing me from moving forward, right? And having that look, I think, can be one thing that's really easy to say, I'll do tomorrow. I'm going to do that next week. I'm going to do that tomorrow. But it is the one of the hardest things to do and best place to start is to rip out that Band-Aid, make that phone call, get a good feel for what you stand. And I want to let you know what that conversation can look like and what you should know going into that conversation. I think being here today, talking to all the different resources that we have in our community is putting you ahead already. You've already built, believe it or not, a really good foundation for what to expect, and I wouldn't ask much more than that. That pre-qualification conversation, I like to say is kind of come as you are. If you know the answer to every question that comes up, amazing. If you don't, that's okay. It's always something that we can circle back to. But literally what it looks like, you and your loan officer are just gonna talk. They're gonna be asking a little bit about, where you're at now. They're gonna ask, very generally speaking, what it is that you'd like to find. They're gonna be chatting through some really basic questions as far as your income, what you got in the bank, in your savings account. I like to just talk through credit first. Before we jump in with the credit pull, just wanna chat about it. And then we can go from there. And that conversation, what it guides us to, is something called your pre-qualification letter. This letter is kind of step one when it comes to the homeownership journey. And that letter is really, really important for two reasons. It's a super, super important letter because it helps us move from step one to step two. So that step two is that way more funds are. Connecting with the local agent, telling them a bit more detail about what it is you'd like to find, actively getting out there, seeing houses in person, right? Hopefully liking one. But that pre-qualification letter is also super, super important because it's the first time that we can let you know what it is that you can expect from us. Not only what does it mean for a purchase price, right? Like what purchase price should I be looking for? But what does that mean? What is that going to equate to on a monthly basis? How much are mortgage payments going to be? How much is this process going to cost me, right? And are any assistance programs available? Are there any assistance programs that are applicable to my purchase? So that letter, that pre-qualification letter, that's step one. Super important because it lets us move to step two. And really, really important too, because it's the first time that we can say, hey, here's what you can expect from us. Here's what these numbers actually look like. We can put pen to paper and give you that knowledge. And I wanna next go to where we land with that conversation, okay? So all those questions are building us up into which program, which mortgage loan is going to be the best fit. What's applicable, what's gonna put you in the best spot for your home financing. And we got a lot of things we do at Believe Mortgage right now, okay? So we do your traditional conventional loans. Words for those are home ready, home possible, conventional, right? But because we are a nonprofit mortgage lender, and we're actually a CDFI as well, which is a community development financial institution, we have some very unique programs to us, and that's what I'm gonna focus on. That is our Believe Mortgage and the Believe 100. Now, after we break down those two, it's gonna be a little dry, bear with me, okay? We're gonna move over into what to expect on the out-of-pocket side, in ways in which we can cut it, terms to be aware of, programs to be aware of, and we're gonna break down that down payment assistance side as well, okay? So we're gonna jump over to the Believe Mortgage. I heard our panel up here say earlier, and I really appreciated it, that there's multiple kinds of loans. I think at this point, we've heard the words conventional, we've heard the words FHA, USDA, VA, right? So there's a few different loan programs. And when we are calling a mortgage lender, in a traditional route, we are most often going to be seeing a conventional loan and an FHA loan. I always like to say, FHA is not a bad loan, it's not. But there are some benefits to being a conventional, and both the Believe and the Believe 100 are conventional loans. I'm actually gonna do this though. It's conventional with a little bit of a quote because it's kind of our own thing. While we are conventional, if your realtor says, hey, do you have a conventional or FHA loan? You get to say conventional. When you are signing a purchase offer, you are checking a box for what kind of loan do you have. You get to check that box for conventional. There are some benefits to that. And we do that with a 30-year fixed mortgage. That is the most common loan term for a first-time home buyer, second-time home buyer, moving forward, because that's where your payments are going to be fixed at the lowest amount possible. So the 30-year fix is the most popular loan program. It's the most popular for a reason. Your payments are fixed. They aren't going to change as far as the mortgage itself, and it's stretched out over the longest term, which means that we can always pay more, we can never pay less. So this program is a 30-year fixed conventional loan. And we do that with some nuances, some things that are a little bit different. While we are conventional, this program is really, really credit flexible. The lowest score we can do with this program is a 570. So it's a conventional loan program that is really credit flexible. We have somebody in process right now who is 570 on the nose. So we can and do often lend under a 600 with a conventional loan program. Now there are other credit requirements, of course. It's something that we're going to be conversationally walking through. And we do that while maintaining a really low down payment. This program allows for as little as 3% down. It's actually even less than the FHA, which is 3.5%, so a little crazy there. So it's very credit flexible. We do that with a really low down payment, okay? Now, this loan program offers one more feature that's really, really important to know about. I'm gonna do another show of hands. Who's familiar with the term PMI or mortgage insurance? A couple of hands? Okay, all right. So the word insurance kind of feels like a safety thing, right? Like, oh yeah, I need insurance, right? We absolutely need homeowners insurance, we sure do. But mortgage insurance is a little bit different. Mortgage insurance is an extra monthly fee that we incur on a monthly basis, and sometimes on a monthly basis and upfront, simply for not putting a 20% down payment. And it benefits nobody but the bank. So that word insurance makes it feel like it's benefiting you. It is not. It's an extra monthly fee that we are incurring on a monthly basis with our mortgage simply because we did not do 20% down. We do not have it. So we have no mortgage insurance with our loan program, which is a really huge benefit. Our buyers often benefit with this program for lower payments for that reason. Now, this loan program specifically is built to accommodate a really wide range of purchase price. The lowest dollar amount we can do is $20,000, and believe it or not, we have done that quite a few times. And that is an area that was a barrier we noticed. A lot of traditional financing agencies kind of say, for either cost-wise for them, it doesn't benefit the lender, or even for some well-intentioned financial regulations that are in place, it can be hard to finance a low dollar amount loan. But we can and do that at Believe Mortgage. And then this program goes all the way up to $250,000, which is a pretty solid purchase price as well. In some cases, we can go a little bit above that. Now, this piece, I just want you to earmark. We're gonna break it down, we're gonna talk about what it means later, but we can do up to 7% in seller concessions with this program, which is a lot. It's more than a traditional conventional loan, that's gonna be 3%. It's more than an FHA loan, that's gonna be 6%. And I think VA is somewhere in the middle, maybe 4 or 5%, haven't done it in a minute. So I'm not 100% up to date on it, but 7% is a really high allowance, and we're gonna break down what that term is in just a little bit. Now, a lot of the programs that are available are exclusive to first-time homebuyers, but this loan program is not. You do not need to be a first-time homebuyer. It is a bit specific in that this is for your primary residence. You gotta be moving in there. We are not a good lender for your vacation home on Lake Erie. We are not a great lender if you are either starting or building an investment portfolio and want to buy a house that you're gonna rent out right away. Catch that right away, okay? It does have to be a loan that's for primary occupancy, and you can only own one home at a time. You can only be titled to one property at a time. So this program is gonna be the best fit for both a single family home or a duplex. Single family home, we got you covered. Duplex, we can usually do that as well. Now, it is a program that's available in the entire state of, I don't know, it's 100. It's available in Cuyahoga County and Lorain County. So we lend quite a bit in both Cuyahoga and a little bit in Lorain as well. And opened up to Michigan recently. We're gonna move over to Believe 100, and it's got a lot of similarities. So we aren't gonna spend a ton of time on it, but it's got a really big difference too. So it is a 30-year fixed, conventional loan, right? It has some nuances in that it is still no mortgage insurance. We are not incurring that extra monthly fee, even with a pretty low down payment. The credit requirement for this program lifts just a little bit. If a buyer's credit score is between 640 and 659, we're gonna ask for 3% down. Still very low, right? But once credit score is 660 or above, we can actually review 0% down with no PMI, which helps a lot when we're trying to curb or reduce the out-of-pocket expenses for the home purchase. So 660 and above, we can actually do 0% down with no mortgage insurance, which is a huge, huge benefit. Now, this program is available throughout the entire state of Ohio and the entire state of Michigan. There we go. Next, I think we're gonna kind of lift the lid on a big question mark we all have when it comes to home financing. When we're buying a house, most people are anticipating, number one, I hear down payment, but there's 3 things that a buyer brings out of pocket traditionally when they buy a house. Yes, number one is the down payment, right? We talked about what that means for Believe Mortgage. It can be 3% down, it can be 0% down. Other down payment assistance program or down payments that would be common, you might hear 3.5%, you might hear 5%, 10%, hey, 20%, but you don't need it. Number 2 is your closing costs. I mean, using closing costs is kind of like a blanket term to cover everything that happens between offer acceptance, when you and that seller, with the guidance of your realtor, have a signed offer on a house, until the time the keys to that house are physically in your hands, you're done, that house is yours, which is usually like 30 to 45 days, like month and a half, and a ton is happening within that time frame. So your closing costs include things like big things would be like your lender fees, a home appraisal, title work's a really big one, some state fees, right? And then it even includes smaller things like a credit report, flood certificate, property survey, the list goes on, it's a lot. I'm lumping it all together and I'm calling it your closing costs. Everything that you're responsible for paying from the time your offer has been accepted until the time the keys are in your hands. And unfortunately, we're not done yet. We got number 3, which is a collection for escrow. Now, your collection for escrow is mostly for 2 things: property taxes and homeowner's insurance. It's different than your closing costs. because it isn't the service that's needed to get you from start to finish, like a home appraisal, right? But there are two things that gotta be paid, your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance. So when it comes to purchasing a house, we got three things the buyer brings out of pocket: their down payment, yes, their closing costs, and their collection for escrow for property taxes and homeowner's insurance. And I'm gonna give us an example of what that could look like. It's kind of a rough example, all right? Bear with me. But up here, I put a pretty moderate purchase price, right? $100,000. The purchase price of this property is $100,000. This buyer is doing 3% down. Okay, cool, $3,000. They have closing costs. Their closing costs range from maybe $5,000 to $6,000. Yes, even more than the down payment itself in this example. And then they also have a collection for escrow to make sure their property taxes and homeowner's insurance get paid. That collection for escrow for your taxes and insurance is probably gonna be somewhere in the range of like maybe $2,500 to $3,500. So even for a really moderate purchase price, $100,000, this buyer is still coming out of pocket over $10,000 to $12,000. So the question becomes, okay, what can we do to lower that? And when it comes to lowering it, there's three words I want you to know. Three terms: grants, seller concessions, and down payment assistance, okay? Now grants we love. If grants are available, heck yeah, we want to take advantage of them. A grant in the true sense of the word means that for whatever reason, you qualify for this money, it's going right towards that $10,000 to $12,000, no strings attached. That money is yours. It's going to be put right towards that out-of-pocket expense. We love that. It's most often offered for your primary lender. So grants are a term to be aware of when we're on this home buying journey. Another one is seller concessions. And this is me circling back, okay? I said, hey, let's everybody like earmark that term seller concessions when we're talking about the blue mortgage. And seller concessions are really cool because I think it's something that everybody can do or everybody can ask for, regardless of who your lender is. So this is something we can do no matter where you land in some capacity. And this is basically negotiate for it. Now, most people are aware we can negotiate for the sales price of a house, right? We can say in this example, we say, okay, seller, I'm gonna give you $95,000. And she can say yes, or she can say no, right? And we can negotiate for the price of the house. We can also negotiate for the seller to actually put money towards your out-of-pocket expenses. Technically, there's a few different times you can do it, but the most common one would be when you're submitting your offer on that house with your realtor. So, keeping this example, we can say, okay, Mrs. Seller, I'll give you $100,000 for that house, but I want you to pay $5,000 towards my out-of-pocket expenses. And if that seller says yes, they're getting the same thing either way, don't get me wrong. If she took a purchase price of $95,000, or she took a purchase price of $100,000 with $5,000 in concessions, aka 100 minus 5, right, 95, she's getting the same thing. But that second route just took your out-of-pocket expenses from $10,000 to $12,000 down to $5,000 to $7,000, so it cut a good chunk off right away. No grants needed, no assistance programs needed. So seller concessions is a term I want us all to be aware of. Talk to your lender about it, talk to your realtor about it. I think it's a really useful tool to be aware of and how it can impact your purchase. There's limitations on how much you can ask for, which is why I believe mortgage is so important, because we can ask for a lot, which is especially helpful when you are buying from your landlord, when you're buying from a family member, right? We can help reduce out-of-pocket expenses quite a bit with that program. And then we're gonna focus next on this last term up here, down payment assistance. I know OHFA talked a bit about it. We're gonna talk a bit about it too in a bit of a different spin. But down payment assistance is different than a grant. And then there usually is some sort of term or string or awareness attached to that program. It isn't just money that goes right towards your funds to close and cuts it. There's gonna be a nuance to it here. We're gonna talk about 3 different programs, but 2 of them are gonna overlap. So I'm gonna keep it easy. I wanna chat first about our Believe Down Payment Assistance Loan Program. So our Believe Down Payment Assistance Loan Program is a loan for up to $10,000 that can be put towards your down payment, towards your closing costs, towards your escrow collection. You gotta bring it out of pocket, we can help cover it with this loan program. Now, it is a true down payment assistance program, and that there is an interest rate, there is a term, and there is a monthly payment. So just for example, if a buyer took the full $10,000, put it on a 10-year term, they'd have their first mortgage payment. They would also have a second mortgage payment for $96 per month that would last for 10 years. Now, we find a lot of creativity with how this program is used by our clients. Maybe they asked for $5,000 in concessions, but they only got $2,500. Okay, no problem. We can take a down payment assistance loan for $2,500 and keep you on track for the out-of-pocket expenses that's within your goal. And if we took $2,500, I'd say the most common distribution is probably like $1,500 to $5,000. $2,500 would, instead of picking up a $96 per month payment, it'd be a little under like $35 a month. So this down payment assistance program that we have can help us overcome concessions that we couldn't ask for in our agreement. It can help us just make sure that we're maintaining a competitive offer. Maybe to get your offer accepted, it's the spring. It's a little competitive out there right now. Maybe you had to take on payment for your agent's commissions. The seller said, nope, we're not gonna pay that. Then this down payment assistance program can be leaned on to, again, just like make sure we stay comfortable on the out-of-pocket expense. I always wanna like cite this client who used this program super creatively. One thing that is hard to do is a renovation loan. A lot of properties need some TLC, sometimes they need a little more. But she was buying a house and it passed a conventional appraisal, so that was totally fine. But from the look of it, it needed some luck, right? And she wanted to do it. She wanted to put that elbow grease into the property. She wanted to make it her own. So she was very well qualified, but she really leaned into zero down. She didn't need to, but she used that full $10,000 down payment assistance program. And the reason that she did that was so she could keep more money in her pocket so that she could do what she wanted to with the property after she closed. So I kind of like to think of this as like another tool for your tool belt when you're out there and you're looking at properties. We can use it to help maintain comfort for funds to close. We can help use it to meet goals. And we can use it pretty creatively as well. This loan program, this down payment assistance program, is also not income qualifying. You can't make too much or too little to qualify for it. The requirement is that you're using our Believe Mortgage lending program. And also available in the whole state of Ohio, whole state of Michigan. For this next and last final slide here, I want us to kind of like kick off the Believe Mortgage chat because this program's a little bit different, okay? It's a little bit different. At Believe Mortgage, we also administer the Cuyahoga County Down Payment Assistance Program, and we administer the Down Payment Assistance Program for the city of Parma. Now the requirements for those 2 programs are identical. They're keeping it so easy for me, all right? The difference is the locations. And when I'm talking about this down payment assistance program through the county or the city of Parma, I kind of like to talk about it in 3 different ways. I want to talk about what the program is, how a buyer qualifies, and then how the property that you're purchasing qualifies, okay? So what it is. The County and Parma Down Payment Assistance Program can lend up to $21,900 currently towards your down payment, towards your closing costs, towards your escrow collection. If you got to bring it out of pocket, we can help cover it. It can help us really minimize, but not eliminate, a buyer's funds to close. I'll circle back to that, okay? It can help us really minimize, but not eliminate, a buyer's funds to close. And it's money that is borrowed at 0 interest. There is no interest rate on this loan program. There is no closing cost. We are not charging you to use this loan program. There's no cost. And then there's no monthly payment. So yes, 0 interest, 0 cost, 0 monthly payment. But I will emphasize that word borrowed. It does have to be repaid eventually. It gets repaid on a title event, whether that is a home sale, a refinance, or a transfer of title. So it doesn't disappear. It does have to be repaid eventually whenever you sell, transfer the title, or refinance in the future. So I'll give you a little, like, for example, you buy a house in the month of June. Congratulations. We are now a first-time home buyer, and we use the county's down payment assistance program. Okay, great. We're gonna hop ahead 10 years in the future. It is now 2036. Life has handed you a car. You are upgrading, you're buying a bigger house. You are downsizing. That house is too big, we need a little less space, a little less payment, we're downsizing. Or we're moving out of state, who knows? But it's 2036 now, and you are selling that property. You as the seller now, 2036, will receive the new sales price, whatever your property is selling for in 2036, minus whatever you still owe on your first mortgage, that loan that you've been paying on for the last 10 years, minus the county's down payment assistance program. It won't be $1 more or less than was initially taken out. So new sales price, minus the balance remaining in your first mortgage, minus the county's down payment assistance program. And your proceeds as a seller, how much money you make from that sale, is going to be the difference of those items. Your sales price, minus your first mortgage, minus the county's down payment assistance program. And that's what the program is. We're going to move over into how a buyer qualifies. So for this program, this one alone, you do need to be a first-time homeowner. And that does not necessarily mean that you've never owned a property before. It does not. But it means that you have not been on the title of a house in the last 3 years. So you could have bought a house in the past, but as long as you have not been on the title of a home in the last 3 years, you are again considered a first-time home buyer. And that is a requirement for this program and this program alone that we talked about, okay? Now, I had also said this assistance program can help us really minimize, but not eliminate, a buyer's funds to close. So we still do require with this program that a homeowner is bringing at least 3% out of pocket. And we can cover everything else. Everything above and beyond that 3%, we can cover it. So it can help us really identify and minimize what a buyer is required to bring out of pocket. Now, that 3% can be a combination of things. It can be your own personal funds, it can be gift funds from a family member, and it can also even be grant. If your primary lender is offering a grant, hey, good news, that counts towards that 3% contribution as well. And the program for the county and Parma down payment assistance is income qualifying. We do as a household need to be at or under 80% of area median income. So you can make too much to qualify for this program, and it's something that we're going to review conversationally really early on, if this is something that's on your mind. We do require for this program, and actually all of our loan programs, that buyers complete a HUD-approved home buying education course. Now I want to lay that out like right now, right in front of you, because that program is a commitment. It's important, you're going to learn a ton, but it is a full 8 hours. And that's one of the courses that we offer for free. Other agencies in our area offer it as well. We don't care who you take it with, but we do need a completed HUD-approved home buying education course before you close on that new house. And that brings us to the house itself. Our kind of last box over here is how the house you're buying qualifies. So this program is a great fit for a single family home or a duplex. It is not a great fit for anything else. Condos, manufactured properties, 3 units or more, not a real house. This program is going to be the best fit for a single family home or a duplex. Now, I'm going to hate this part. While we are the Cuyahoga County Down Payment Assistance Program, the program cannot be used by cities. It cannot be used in Cleveland, East Cleveland, Cleveland Heights, Euclid, and Lakewood.
That's the other program, the 100, or is it this?
Just the county's down payment assistance program.
Okay.
Believe mortgage, you better believe the one in Cleveland all the time.
Oh, okay.
Believe down payment assistance all the time. Absolutely our bread and butter.
Okay.
But it's just the county's down payment assistance program. It excludes those 5 cities: Cleveland, East Cleveland, Cleveland Heights, Euclid, and Lakewood.
So is it more rural?
It actually we use it mostly in the neighboring suburbs. Garfield Heights, Warrensville, Bedford Heights, Brooklyn, Maple, even South Euclid. We use it a lot in South Euclid, not Euclid proper, but South Euclid. So any city except for those 5, we got you covered with this program. We got you with our Believe Down Payment Assistance in Cleveland or those 4 other cities as well. The property itself has some unique other qualifications as well. We do have properties assessed for lead safety as part of our process. We have a team member go out and assess for major chip and peeling paint. That's at no cost to you, that's at no cost to the seller. Although if they do identify something, it's gotta be fixed prior to close. We also assess the current occupancy of the house you're buying. We do not want to use county funds to displace a tenant. So we check to make sure that the property you're buying hasn't been rented in the last 90 days. So we do check to make sure that house you're buying is either previously owner occupied or vacant for at least 90 days before you close, because we do not want to use county funds to displace a tenant. And then last one, kind of a unique one. We see it a lot in those neighboring suburbs, anything with the heights. If there's a city inspection that's required, we do require that city inspection to be violation free prior to closing. And I think that is about to round us out as far as what to expect with our lending programs. And the good news is none of this is information that you need to memorize. The very best place to start is by going to believemortgage.org, and there's a very short form inquiry where you can submit your information online. Either ourselves or our homeownership center are going to call you quickly. We'll either call you or our homeownership center might send you an email. So we are very, very easy to reach. And for the next little bit, we're even right outside those doors. So please come find us. You guys have had a lot of great questions. I know a lot of them got answered, but I would love any questions that are remaining or even any questions you wanted to ask again. And I don't mind doing a little run with the microphone. I can do it. I can come find you. I put some flip-flops up here just in case, but I think I got it.
Okay, so with the down payment assistance program with Cuyahoga County, is it still that when you go to the contest and you live in the property for over a year or 2, does it become a forgivable loan?
That's a great question. Does the county's down payment assistance program ever disappear? Is it ever forgiven? And the answer to that is no. It sticks to the title until it gets repaid in full. Whether that means a property sale, transfer of title, or refi is going to come up too, but it doesn't disappear over time. It's never more than was initially taken out, but it's never less either. So the most often time frame in which it gets paid back is with a home sale. And it comes out of the proceeds. Good question. Good question. The question is the county's down payment assistance program a lien on the title? And it is. It's a second mortgage. So you have your first first mortgage, that's like the bulk of the financing, right? That's your mortgage payment that you're making on a monthly basis. But there's a lien on the title for the county after closing for the down payment assistance program too. Yep, so it's a second mortgage, a deferred second mortgage to be specific. Good question. All right, we'll grab him and come for you, okay?
I just was noticing that on that slide that you said the Parma County one is income-based. And did I also read that it also is a max on the value of the property?
All right, we noted that the down payment assistance program with the county in the city of Parma has a income qualification piece to it. It does. And the question is, does it have a, I forgot to say it. Yes, it has a max purchase price too. The max purchase price is $219,000. So even if we're meeting requirements to be eligible for the program, if our purchase price is $220,000, we can no longer use the county or the city of Parma's down payment assistance program. So yes, they do. $219,000 is the maximum purchase price. There are some. Parma is a higher point for sure these days, but there are some.
Thank you. So I did have a question about, which program is this? The leave mortgage. You said that it's not for people, looking to move someone to rent right away. So like how long would that period be? Like would it be wise to put that into like an LLC? If you do want to get into like the real estate business, like eventually. And then I know that you said that the homeowner has to be the one to live in it, so would the homeowner be able to basically sell it to their business and then reapply or do other things? And then I also, after that question, I have another one. Okay.
All right, so the question is, this is for an owner-occupied property. And what are the terms or stipulations, correct me, of running it down the road? And if title transfer events, like moving it into the name of the business down the road. Because when we buy a house, we do need to close in the name of an individual, but usually like with your first mortgage, like, I don't care what you do with your title after that. So you gotta close in the name of an individual, but there are some ways in which you can move it after closing. I'm not an expert in that. Title is not, title transfer not totally my jam. But when it comes to the primary mortgage, the Believe 100, the Believe down payment assistance, moving the title is not gonna be impactful. When it comes to the county and the city of Parma's down payment assistance loan, moving the title into the name of a business or anything else is a title transfer event. So it would come up and say, oh, we see title is transferring, we gotta repay this in order to move the title. But then you asked another good question about the stipulations around running your property in the future, more or less. And I think your first home purchase is a really good entry into that investment arm. So I think it's a really good, because you're benefiting from the financing side of living there, because there are benefits, there are lower rates, there are lower down payments than when you're buying a house or rent it out right away. So you're benefiting from that. And you are welcome. Nobody's driving by your house and checking like, hey, 5 years later, do you still live here, right? Basically, it's all about intention. If you bought a house and you never intended to live there, or you bought a house, you said it's your primary residence, you live there for 30 days, not a good thing. Really bad thing. Really bad thing. And the real answer is like, are we driving my house? Like, no, but it's a very serious thing to like buy a house and never move into it, or to rent it out immediately after you said you didn't. But life happens. Things change. So you're living in that house for a whole year and you're ready to upgrade. You're ready to move to a different city. Maybe you're moving out of state and you want to hold on to that property and you think it might be a good entry into seeing like, okay, how's this landlord thing work? Do I like it? Is this something to be helpful? And like, you're welcome to do that. So there isn't a stipulation of time in which you have to live in the house. You definitely don't want to lie about it. But if things change over time, like, that's okay. And I think it's a great idea.
I have one more. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I saw some like credit builders like kick off and whatnot. Do we do any like credit repair stuff before even applying? or doing it during the process of like damage your credit or something like that? I know it's like a soft credit pool, but would you recommend like before we even sit down and talk with you guys, like sign up for like kickoff or other credit builders?
So the question is, should we make sure we're feeling good in establishing our credit before the conversation? And then this, ask a HUD counseling agency, they might have a different opinion than we do here, and that's okay. Come as you are. I think that it can be helpful for us to sit, to break down, to digest. Even before a credit pull, I like to talk about it. So knowing what's on your credit report might help us avoid that pull or be very careful with it. Because we want to be really careful. We work hard on your credit, right? Especially if we are rebuilding it or establishing it, like we're working hard. We want to be careful with it. So a soft pull, checking with your lender. Are you doing a soft pull or are you doing a hard pull? A hard pull is important, but not necessarily super important immediately. I like to talk about it. And then if we're ready, move forward with a soft pull or a hard pull, because we want to be cautious with that. But I think that the conversation up front can be helpful before you dig in and do that work and make that guess on your own. Is it needed? Or are you already there? So it helps take some of the guesswork out of what it is a lender's looking for to have that conversation up front and then go back and do that work if it's necessary after that conversation. Good question. All right, we're looking around. Guys, thank you. All right, appreciate you guys today. This is fun. So grateful to be here.
All right, guys, thank you so much. You hung in there. You got all that good information. And I want to thank you for coming to EmpowerOne. If you want to revisit some of this information, it will be on our Facebook pages, 93.1 WZAK, 107.9 Lamega, I believe, as well. So if you are looking for that information, it will be available to you on our Facebook and our YouTube pages, all right? But, and also I want to thank our sponsors for all that great information. The Ohio Housing Finance Agency, also we have the Cleveland Realtors Association and Believe Mortgage, all ready to help you on your home buying journey. But I know what y'all want. I know what y'all waiting for now. That washer and dryer, and you gotta be present. So we'll see who's gonna take that nice new washer and dryer home. Let's see. Derek Purchell, are you here?
All right, keep going next.
Oh, we don't keep going. Keep pulling till it's 20 gone. Okay, how about Joy? Yeah. That's you. Joy! Yes, and thank you so much. Joy, you don't even have to come on down here. You can meet us at our table up there, all right? And thank you all for coming. The lenders will be out there till, the vendors will be out there till 2 p.m. so you can still get those conversations in and get that great information. Thank you so much for coming.